Have I showed y'all the jokers yet? I guess we had one question already. Now you had some time to think about it. Got a newcomer there. New contestants. Anybody know the far left? A little bit blurry. Cameron Monaghan. Gotham's DC's Gotham TV series. Yeah. Won some awards. They did a little different take. Twins. Yeah. But in the upper right corner there, Lego Joker. All right, let's practice. Actually, you know what? We're not going to practice because before I show you that, I think we'll be able to get through all the content today if we skip the review questions and put them at the end. And so 10 o'clock this morning, what we're doing right now, will be our last obligatory psych get-together before our exam. So 10 to 12, we'll cover the material, and then I'll let you know when we've covered all the material. You can stay if you want. We'll have a little bit of movie time at the end when we go look at personality disorders, and I'll show you some clips of some movies, and it's fun, and you can say, all right, what's this most look like once we go over the personality disorders, and then we'll hit into as much time. I'll come back at 1300, and we'll start those review questions that we skipped from the other lectures that we've had the last couple days. And so we'll cover that today, but this afternoon, it's on you. It's up to you. Grown-up rules, big boy rules, big girl rules. And then Tuesday, when we see you again for a double session, there will be no new information there. I'm going to post the lab slides, the review slides, and lab slides that we're going to do. I plan to do that later today, so you'll have all those. You'll have all the review questions that we did between the sessions. So that Tuesday will also be optional for you, for psych. You can come and participate if you want to, like we did last time, but this time it'll be optional. I ask that you play that how you want to. Everybody studies a little differently, but if you come, don't be that guy, that gal who just screams out the answers. We'll do it methodically again and working through it. If that frustrated you, too slow, and you want to do it on your own, that's all up to you. But you can't come to me after the exam and say, and you weren't at the lab. So. Big word, big girl rules there. So 10 to 12, pay attention. And then after that, so. All right, so let's go with this one. Conduct disruptive impulse control disorders. That was just funny. A guilty stick figure. Yeah. There's what it is in our reference material. Here's what we're going to talk about in this lecture. Here's some definitions. Intermittent explosive disorder. I thought the initials, the acronym that this makes is very appropriate. IED. Improvised explosive device or intermittent explosive disorder. Now in this one, this can be, it only needs one symptom. We'll talk about how this relates in a minute. This can be only one symptom, and it can be with a sibling. That'll make sense when we talk about it. Pyromania, we kind of maybe already know pyro means fire. Someone who sets fire to things. Klepto is stealing, kleptomania is stealing. So oppositional defiant disorder is the first, ODD, sometimes referred to it. This is defies authority. So if you take one thing away from this is defies authority. There's kind of a word picture of words of defying authority. This is ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. It's in the name, defiant. Here's the basics of it. Frequent and persistent. Now this one, it has to be with a non-sibling at least. If it is with a sibling, then that's okay. It doesn't disqualify them, but it also has to be with a non-sibling. So if these symptoms only arise with a sibling, it doesn't count with oppositional defiant disorder. What we say with IEDs don't care. They blow up whoever walks on them, right? So that's okay. One symptom, siblings okay. Oppositional defiant disorder has to be at least with a non-sibling. Now this one is not exclusive to children. I know our picture in introducing this diagnosis was a child, but this is not exclusive to children. Adults can be diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder. You probably have names and faces coming to your head right now. Maybe your own, I don't know. No judgment. No age limits with oppositional defiant disorder. Unlike conduct disorder, which we'll talk about in a minute. This can also, oppositional defiant disorder can be diagnosed in adults. So diagnostic criteria, distilled out of the pink box here. Can't be just siblings, it's gotta be somebody else. Gotta have 4 or more symptoms for at least 6 months against a non-sibling at least. So you can kind of get a picture of this. Remember, think center mass on these things and what this looks like, what oppositional defiant disorder, and what is typical, what characterizes oppositional defiant disorder. I just said it a little bit ago. We have a word picture of it. Does what to authority? Defies authority. Oppositional defiant defies authority. Good. Loses temper, touchy, easily annoyed, angry, resentful. You pay attention to these. This is emotional dysregulation, right? Kind of like intermittent explosive disorder, oppositional defiant. This is emotion coming out. This is loses temper, touchy, easily annoyed, angry, resentful, argues with authority figures. Adults, maybe an older sibling that plays an adult figure or an adult role in their life intermittently or often. Deliberately annoyed, blames others for their mistakes, spiteful and vindictive, twice in the 6 months. So that's oppositional, argumentative, defiant. It's distressing to themselves. They don't like it. They don't like it, or other people close to them don't like it. And it has a negative impact on important areas of what they're doing. Messes with their life. And like we say in most every pink box, not better attributable to something else. So psychosis, substance abuse, something else going on, underlying diagnosis that would better explain it. There's our pink box. There's more of the severity ranking. I'm not going to ask you to classify severity of it, but you'll have to know that when you give a referral. So just know that exists in the pink box. What do we do with it? This one is psychosocial intervention. So we talk to coach up parents, coach up teachers, how to deal with ways to build boundaries in a good way, big enough where they're give them freedom to stretch their legs, but not too big where they're unsupervised, right? So and that's different for every kid. So we get a treatment team, parent, counseling can be, and we work with the patient to help them, give them some cognitive behavioral skills. Sounds an awful lot like CBT to me as well. And then systemic therapy. So everybody that's around them, making them aware what this is, what it looks like, and how to deal with it. So that you can see the pharmacotherapy, the meds that we give is pretty limited. If there's stuff going on around this, maybe symptoms that we need to treat, then yes, but there's not a med for oppositional defiant disorder. This is somebody who needs some help. Now I will say this, and we'll get into this a little more in personality disorder, there are positive traits to this. If you look at somebody, let's say you have a legal case, and you get assigned or you hire a lawyer, you want somebody who's going to stand up and say no sir, to authority and argue your case in a respectful and professional way. And so to be able to say what you have is a gift, let's point it in the right direction and put those boundaries in the right place, then you have a powerful person on your team to exercise their gifts and say, man, you are valuable, instead of no, look exactly like me, stop what you're doing, do exactly what I do. Say, man, you have a gift, I don't have that, you have that. Let's point that in the right direction so you can benefit people with what you do and have. And they'll work with you. Hopefully a little easier when you do that. All right, conduct disorder. This is kids. And then we've got a mental picture of the oppositional defiant, defies authority, gets angry, touchy, loses their temper, the emotional dysregulation. Conduct disorder is more severe, as far as more dangerous, more insidious than oppositional defiant disorder. This is somebody who is proactive, predatory, patient, destructive. So this is somebody who, when they grow up, becomes that psychopath. Over 18, this is antisocial personality disorder. Same symptoms, becomes a psychopath. So this is that illegal activity, infringing on the rights of the others, blatantly torturing animals. I mean, this is the the one that you're scared about growing up, and if they keep doing this when they grow up, this could be in the wrong way. They wind up in subject of a documentary on the proactive and predatory. So, no 18-year-olds exist in this class. So under 18, as a kid, it's called conduct disorder. Over 18, it's antisocial personality, which we'll talk about in our second lecture. When you look to diagnose antisocial personality disorder, you got to look back at the history and say, was this present before the age of 12? So this is, as a kid, were they doing the same things, and then you can diagnose them with that. So even if they never received a diagnosis of conduct disorder, that would help you. If they did, that would answer the question. You got to take a good history and do a good physical like you will as a good PA, and you'll find that out. So conduct disorder, proactive and predatory, 3 symptoms in this order, or from this list, and one of them in the last 6 months. If you think about it, that's a little more patient. You say, well, why not all 3 in the last 6 months? You think about patient, predatory, proactive, somebody who can wait to get their revenge, and they calculate it. You ever read Count of Monte Cristo? It's a great book, right? Alexander Dumas, or a different pronunciation if you watch Shawshank Redemption. But it's a good. This is a great example of patience and exacting revenge. So these are things that they have to have 3 of, and one in the last one. One thing that you look at here in this list, and that's not blatant or doesn't stick out or jump out at you, is that emotional dysregulation. It's not losing temper or touchy or that sort of thing. You see emotion in there, but it's more calculated, predatory, patient, physical cruelty, right? Deliberately destroying others' property, confronting people and stealing from mugging people, like wanting to look them in the eye when you're doing something to them. Truancy, if you know what that word means without looking at the parentheses, then we know you know why, right? Not better explained, right? We don't want to jump straight to this, a pretty serious diagnosis. So if it's better explained by something else, if they're just having a bad day and something happens in this list, it's not 3 and one over in the last 6 months. So this is a consistency in somebody's life, a kid's life. Here's the pink box, says what we just said. And what do? Same stuff. Now with this one, you think about what this grows up to. Conduct disorder grows up to antisocial personality disorder. We don't want to get there. And so looking at the 2nd-gen antipsychotics to help with those assaultive aggressive behaviors, and then the 3 that have been studied and gain those indications in kids, will they all work? Probably, but the 3 that have been studied, spent the money, got the indication, are those risperidone, aripiprazole, and quetiapine. Those are those 3. Here's our list of those from the list of 2nd gens in our med lecture, former med lecture. So if you see a kid with conduct disorder and you're wanting to give them a 2nd gen, you got to rack your brain, RAQ, rack your brain. How am I going to take care of this kid? Rack your brain, RAQ. Get it? Risperidone, aripiprazole, quetiapine. That's how I remember that one. There's the conduct disorder in this lecture, but we'll talk about it in person. We'll cover it more in depth, kind of where it belongs. But this is the grown-up version of conduct disorder. Here's some examples or links to treatment. It's an example of resources that are available to you to pass on to parents and those around, that social structure, that systemic therapy that you give everybody that's involved with touch and is in line with these kids or grown-ups. Officers are really fine. You're not alone. You got a treatment team and a lot of resources out there to help them with it. So there's a links to that. Develop a plan, walk with them, inject hope, point those positive characteristics, try to glean how can this be used for good, point them in that direction. Give them hope. All right, switch selections real quick. Any questions while we're here? Yes?
Is that like a condition that we would actually manage, or that just sounds like something when we refer to psychology, like
Absolutely. Yes, we would refer to psychiatry, yeah, to do that, and psychology, and behavioral health, and counseling, and the chaplain, and everybody else. But yes, we're the ones, we're the front line, we're the PCMs that recognize it. And so when we refer it to psychiatry, because I don't know if I would be comfortable in prescribing second-gen antipsychotic at the first visit when I see, man, this kid, this contact disorder, right? So I'm gonna refer to psychiatry and suspect this, please rule out, consider, and so you use those words, and then they'll get them started, they'll get them hooked up with counseling, but they're gonna come back to you probably on that med. And so you need to know how to manage that med for somebody that you identified as conduct disorder. Likely you won't start them. Sometimes they're overwhelmed, maybe at your base, and they'll say, yep, got it, you start them, and we'll back you up. I'm with you. And so you write their name in the note and say consulted with, recommended, will proceed. So you do that. So yes and no is the answer to that question. So in the event that we're all by ourselves, or you get to be a psych PA, or in a practice where they trust you a lot to do that, or you develop a feel for this or a passion in this direction, then you say, yeah, I got this, and you have that conversation with your mental health people, and they say, yeah, you got this. So they trust you with more of that, and they say, yeah, I expect you to do this before you send them to me. And you may be one where they say, yeah, go ahead. We trust you to make that diagnosis, start that med, you know what you're doing. That takes some time and putting that sweater on, wearing it around a little bit before get those jeans feeling just right. Yeah, good question, great question. The other quick conduct disorder. This one kind of rolls pretty easily into. We'll talk about personality disorders. There it is in our reference material. Now we get into personality disorder, we talk about which came first. Is this nature? Were they born this way? Or nurture? Was this a product of their surroundings? And the answer is probably yes. Probably both. And it's 60-40, 80-20, depends on who it is and what they're around. But you can grow up in the best of circumstances and wind up the subject of an A&E documentary, or in the opposite is true, where you're raised by convicts and then you wind up being, Mother Teresa or that sort of thing. So it's hard to pin that on or cookbook it and say. So always have your radar up, and also be hopeful of anybody. If you take a snapshot of you, if you look back and think about the worst time in your life, if somebody were to look at you and say, how about the future of this person? There we go. Take them up, lock them up right now, throw them with you. And we've all probably got moments like that, maybe more than that. And I felt like I was going to be that when I was sitting next to Crusher in Mississippi. Crusher's my boy. He's my boy. I'm his boy. I don't know. But be able to say, all right, here we are, right? We're sitting in a lighted room. Come and go as we please, almost. Right? After 12 o'clock today. Big boy rules. And so thinking about that and saying, what can I see in this person that could be? And that's what I want to coach up to. That's what I want to see and tell them, man, I see a lot of potential in you. And what you have, what we're talking about right here, don't think of that as a curse. Think of that, man, if I point it in this direction, here are some suggestions. That could be an incredible asset for my future, for others' benefit. Always think that. Everybody's different. Fingerprints, everybody know how fingerprints are formed? Anybody know how fingerprints are formed in utero of the baby in the mama's belly? Exactly. They push against that inside uterus, and that pressure on their fingerprints and feet is what develops the shape of those fingerprints. So if you look at twins, even in the womb, they're different because that pattern, you can't replicate that pattern in 9 months in mama's belly the same, so that fingerprints are identical. And that's how that is. So even twins come out with different fingerprints and also different personalities. If you are a twin or have twins or no twins, you'll know twins can be very different. My older sister has 6 boys, 3 and 4 are twins, and they're very different. My wife is the youngest of 5, and the oldest 2 are twins, very different. So we don't have twins. Cool. All right, personality disorders. In this, there are clusters, A, B, and C. And I say that because you'll be expected to know this on the pants. I don't know why they did this, and this is the one that we talk about where they do this, but there are clusters. In this lecture, I'm going to color code them, group them together, and hopefully that'll help you maybe. If you see that, it'll help you put them in the same cluster. We'll talk about them in that way. But if those color codes, mnemonics, pictures, repetitive, all that bells and whistles distract you, don't have to use it, but I put it in there. Hopefully it'll help you. 3 clusters, 10 diagnoses, but we'll look at it. We'll do the exercise. We'll do a little repetition and the videos at the end. I'll ask you what cluster first and then what personality inside that cluster. So kind of in the same way when we're doing a review question and I ask you, okay, what lecture does this question push your mind to? The same here. We're talking about a personality disorder, or what cluster does this point me toward? And then inside that cluster, which of those do I choose from? So kind of think of that same mentality as we're looking at this. So this one just, FYI, this is just to show there's no consensus on what definition of a personality is. Each of these bodies add a little different dimension to that personality. This is more evidence that science deals with the what and the how, struggles with defining the core of the person, but they got to in some sense. And the spiritual addresses the ideals and deals with the why. And so a chaplain needs to be on a treatment team, right? You want all 4 of those pillars of an airman, even if you're a soldier, 4 pillars of an airman that you want to address. So don't neglect that spiritual. Psych can describe you, but it doesn't define you. So in the same way, I'm saying, don't act like or talk to your patients. 1, don't talk down to them, but 2, don't talk to them like they're cursed. All right, this doesn't define who you are. This is something that is on its own. You wear a shirt, it doesn't say who you are, it says what you do sometimes. Right? One day we'll take this off and we are still ourselves, but then our job may change. Right? Maybe a blue vest from Walmart. Please say hey to me when you walk in. How can you recognize a disorder? First, we want to seek to understand the baselines. So we want to seek to understand the difference once we know what normal is. So this skill goes a long way in developing you as a PA, a teammate, a leader, and just family member, spouse, son, daughter, dad, mom, all of this. If you seek to understand where somebody else has come from or how they see the world, it's a whole lot easier to communicate with them. Anybody ever heard of the 5 love languages? Yeah? A lot of head nods there. So if you're loving somebody, if you're expressing appreciation to somebody in your love language, but it's not theirs, what are they going to say? Selfish. I don't care. But if you love them in their love language, then man, they see me. So you want to seek to understand where somebody's coming from. And so if you leave a little something, a note on their desk, that's going to mean more to them than call them out in a morning huddle and say, hey, so-and-so did a great job this week. That would embarrass them and they said no. And then maybe the other way around. Here's a note on my desk. But if they call them out in front of a meeting, man, that means a lot. That gets me going for the next month for that person. So know your people, know what motivates them, and that comes largely from how their personality is bent. Pop quiz. Which one of those would you say is weird? How many say the top one's real? All right. How many say the bottom one's real? All right. It's not evident, is it? Top one's real. How do we know that? How do we know? Well, I don't know that. I can't say that. Somebody who's trained to spot counterfeit largely doesn't study counterfeit. They study the real thing to know what real looks like and feels like. And so when they get abnormal, they go, ooh, this isn't right. This isn't normal. Same reason that we want you to listen to heart and lungs every time. So you know what normal sounds like. Normal, normal, normal. And then when you get abnormal, you go, I don't know what it is, but that ain't right. I gotta call somebody. I gotta do AKT. That's a winning. That's what you want to do. So same way here, we want to handle real. We want to know what personality looks like. Everybody's a little different. Everybody has a little different balance. There are many different personality tests. Maybe you've done this before, but there's one, the Smalley Trent personality test has 4 main types: lion, otter, beaver, golden retriever. And so a quick example of that: lion is an extrovert, take charge, assertive, decision makers, problem solvers, goal oriented. There's a lot of lions in the military. Type A personality, not everybody's got a percentage of each, and really it depends too on the venue. We have a little different balance of these when we're at home with our family than we do at work when we put this on and we're in charge of people. So it's a little different mix. Beaver, buy the book, read the instruction manual, the whole instruction manual. Consistent, thorough, well-mannered, task-oriented. Goal-oriented, task-oriented, similar but not the same. So the lion, all right, I'll give you an example. Otter, fun-loving, enthusiastic, playful, encouraging. Guess what's missing from that? Orientation. A lot of thrust, not much vector. Right? So you're the one, all right, let's get in this direction. Golden retriever, good-natured, strong team players. Man, you got a lot. You want them on you, kind-hearted, love helping and serving. Golden retriever. So an example of how the same situation, how they would approach it differently. Let's imagine there's a room, carpeted room, and in the middle of this room is a pile of manure. The lion comes in and says, all right, you get the mop, you get the pan, we're gonna get this cleaned up right now, let's go. Right?
Sound about right. Sound like somebody you
No,
know.
maybe. The beaver is gonna stand there and talk to you and tell you 37 ways to get the smell out of the carpet, but an hour and a half later the pile of manure is still there. Because they're analyzing now. Paralysis by analysis, that's a beaver in the purity, all the way to the end of that spectrum. The golden retriever is so others oriented. They're gonna sneak in there before anybody else gets there, clean it up, so nobody even has to deal with it or know it was there. Right? This is a lot of grandmas, moms that you know taking care of you. Let me just do that for you. Oh, I'm sorry you had to see that. That's a golden retriever. And then the otter walks in, takes one look at the manure pile, and then never again looks at it and says, where's the pony? You want all types on your team. And somebody who has a balance of those who can adjust to the situation is a valuable teamer and a great leader in that. But you want all types on your team. Someone will frustrate you, but you want all types on your team because there's fewer blind spots there. Everybody heard of Team Arrivals? The book, Team Arrivals? Oh, highly recommend it. It's a thick one, it's a big tome, but it talks about Abraham Lincoln and the people in his cabinet. And largely, many of the people that he appointed to his cabinet were his rivals, people that ran against him at different levels of politics and in his career. And man, those cabinet meetings were contentious, but there are very few blind spots, and they got a lot done in America in that time. So it's fascinating read, Team Arrivals. Their leadership of there you go. There's a free one right there. A lot of positives and negatives to each type. So don't just label somebody and say, well, you always, because you're honored. Because there's positives there, so bring that out. Same way we want to find those positives in how people are wired and bent, point that in the right direction. Same with your team. Oh man, you'd be great at this. Can you help me with this over here? Because they're terrible at this over here, let me put you in the right spot. Sometimes the best thing in leadership is helping somebody out of a bad situation or a bad position into a better. And they feel like it's being fired or demotion sometimes, but you get them in a better spot and they thrive, they'll look for it. All right, here's the basics of all the personality disorders and personality, from the personality. Inflexible and pervasive, so this is how they are and how they behave in all areas of life. So personality disorder is not just, it's not a specific phobia, like we have a specific. It's all what they do. When they wake up, when they go to sleep, wherever they are, home, at work, is pervasive in all those, and it's a long duration, not just a bad day. We can all look like some of these. We can all look like most of these on some days, but this is somebody that's pervasive and inflexible over a long duration. Remember, look for the positive, point that in the right direction. This is not on the test, but just these percentages, but just to show you, they're more prevalent than we think. More than greater than 10% of the population has a personality disorder. So how many people are in here? Almost 70-ish. So 7 by statistics. Don't raise your hand. You know if you have a personality disorder, diagnosed or not. We'll talk about what the clusters mean, and you can see each coming from each of those clusters. But you will see personality disorder in your practice, no matter where you are. You will see personality disorder. Don't overdiagnose it, don't jump to it, but don't take it off your differential. Keep it in mind and have it as an option. Put it on your DDX over here. See if there's a better diagnosis or definition or explanation, but have it on your differential. And this is pervasive across countries, ethnicities. It doesn't matter. 10% of all population have personality disorders. This is for you to take with you. You won't see Capri anywhere else in the rest of this, but this is kind of a help to say this is a rubric you can work through in your mind to look at differentials and how to differentiate these personality disorders. If you look at the cognition, how one thinks, how the patient is thinking, affect, kind of like Capri's, how they wear their emotions, the outward objective expression of that mood, personal relations, how they interact with others, and then impulse control. How well do they control that impulse? Kind of oppositional, defiant, loses their control, they blow up, anger. That conduct disorder is cold, calculating, patient, and they control those impulses. That's an example of that. So put on your Capri's, because it's going to get deep and a little messy. All right, here's the colors that go with the clusters. A is going to be green. B, Bravo, dramatic, is red. C, Charlie, is purple, worried. So WDW, not WCW, WDW. Macho Man, rest in peace. All right, here we go, a little bit deeper. Here are the color codes still. Cluster A, we have 3, so the number in parentheses right after the cluster, a number in each. So 3, 4, 3, the number of personality disorders in each of the clusters. And then you have the name of the disorder. The number right after the disorder is the number of symptoms needed for each diagnosis, for that diagnosis. I'm not going to ask you to count symptoms. I'm asking you more center mass, get an idea, have a feel, understand the diagnosis and what it looks like. So when you see it, you can differentiate. So I'm not going to ask you to count. Most of these questions are going to be most likely, best. So get a feel, center mass of what these different personalities. So that's why we're going to look at the video clips and see if we can have a good gestalt about what those look like. But those are the different clusters, color coded. We'll paint a picture, broad strokes, so you don't have to count symptoms. To me, paranoid is in the wrong cluster, but you can kind of think of paranoid things that people are paranoid of can get pretty weird. So maybe that's why it's helping cluster paranoid. I think the rest of them make pretty much sense, and we'll see that as we go through. First one, cluster A, green, weird. So the first one's paranoid personality disorder. This is somebody that's more than just nervous about the future. They have mistrust without reason about most everything. Anything that's brought up, anything that's presented, they, oh, wait a second, that can't be. It's got something's underneath that. And this is somebody who has that mistrust. They'll deconstruct and reconstruct their thought process to fit their scenario. And so you listen to them do that and you go, whoa, that was a lot of mental gymnastics. How you did that. And the more intelligent the person, the more they can make that make sense. So if you listen to, sometimes, I won't confuse this with that, but yeah. Some people, the greater the intelligence, the more coherent they can make that sound. But paranoid is what they are. These people struggle having relationship trust issues, deep, real, personal relationship, they struggle because they're paranoid, suspicious of everything, everybody. There's the pink box distilled. Rarely does anybody have good intentions in their mind. They expect to be swindled. They're always on their guard. But they don't ask the question, they just assume the worst. That's what's going to happen. They don't really have any mentors, nobody to speak into their life that they listen to that will contradict them because they don't trust anyone enough to know. They read into everything. Newspaper headlines, billboards, architecture, Olympic opening ceremony. You see why they did that? See what happened? See what happened? Told you. Paranoid. Elephants never forget, neither do paranoid personality disorder. They remember the bad, even if it's not true. So if they have the first impression of you, it could be way wrong. And they don't like you because they think you did something, but you didn't do this thing, they won't forget. And now, a lot of times you're labeled in that, as that. You feel undermined. You're doing this to ruin me. You're out to get me. Why are you doing this to me? And then if they have a partner, if they do have a relationship, you can see how this would limit the depth of relationship. They heap that weight of crushing accusations and expectations on their partner again and again, and you can see how that partner would say, I'm out. It doesn't make sense. You made this deconstructive I'm out. Permeates all areas of life, remember, not just a bad day in one situation, and it's for over an extended period of time. There's a big box. Here's a picture of demonics. This is nothing special or new in this picture. It's just another way to say the same thing. If this helps you get a better handle, get an idea, center mass of what paranoid personality disorder looks like, there you go. Welcome to it. I don't know where these came from. I really like them, so I'm trying to give credit to whoever made these, but if you find out and see it, love to hear it. But they did a good job, I think, of summing up these personalities in one page snapshot of this mnemonic band picture. All right, that's the first one in cluster A, weird green. Second one is schizoid. And this is a little bit confusing because we already have some schizo diagnoses we talked about. So this is different. This is a personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder. I wish they would call it something else, but this is different than schizophrenia. Right? These folks love to be alone. Anybody know who put that picture up?
Tesla.
Nikola Tesla. That's right. He's a poster child for this one. No need or pleasure from interaction with other humans. They're be by themselves and are just fine. And that's to include sexual contact. They have a little interest in that because they love to be alone. They don't seek or need praise from anybody else. They're fine all by themselves, all the way up and down the spectrum. Nikola Tesla, you think about somebody had schizoid personality disorder. If Nikola Tesla came to you and you were his PCM and you tried to fix him and make him more like you, we might not have some of his inventions that we use today, even in PA school. X-ray technology. Nikola Tesla. Alternating electronic current power system, AC. Induction motor, Tesla coil, which is in radios, TVs, car starters, still used today, and the remote control vehicle. First one was a miniature boat, Nikola Tesla. We'll point that in the right direction, and man, you got a lot of good right there. Distilled out of the pink box, they don't enjoy nor want close relationships. They love being alone. Little or no interest in romantic or sexual involvement. Not a lot of extracurricular hobbies. They're interested in what they're interested in. That's fine by them. And they don't try to impress others. Peer pressure means nothing to them. Take a ton of effort for them to express any emotion. So if they want to tell somebody they really care for them, it takes a lot. And they're not real good at it. One, because they don't practice, but that's outside their scope of habit. Anybody? Painting on the right? Anybody name Margaret? Renee Margaret? Yeah, you know the name of the painting? Son of Man. You know, the year it was painted. 1964, oil on canvas in the surrealism movement on display in San Francisco. Museum on Rock. Good job. Last sold in 1998 for a little over $5 million. Yeah. That's the poster child or personified or painting version of a schizoid personality. They're just $5 billion. All my culture is not agriculture. I appreciate the artist too. There's a big box for schizoid, green, cluster A, weird. There's our picture that says the same. Use that if it helps. All right, next one, still in the weird, cluster A, schizotypal. Everybody knows them, but nobody really knows them. Everybody's their friend, but if you say, tell me some more about this person, you say, I really know their name, and I see them over here, and they're doing this thing. That's it. That's all. Everybody knows. Excessively eccentric. They have a mystical, magical thought process sometimes, and that typifies with this personality disorder, schizotypal. High energy. Usually others don't have enough emotional energy to maintain that relationship. Super high maintenance in close relationships. And their expression is a narrow aspect, or narrow affect. So they can express, and what you see is how they respond to most everything. So they can't be really sad or really happy. It's kind of in the middle. It's a really narrow expression of their emotions. Ideas of reference, the belief that one gets specific personal and individual messages from external broadcasting sources, radio, TV, internet, so there's that mystical, magical piece. Claim an intuition or clairvoyance, they have a sixth sense. I just know. That's what it's saying. Wild stories of their unusual perceptual experiences, so ask them to tell their stories. Pretty entertaining, if you got time. They have a constricted affect. That's a better way. I lost that word earlier. Constricted affect, narrow and only capable of expressing a few limited types of emotion. Constricted affect. Not a lot of emotional range. If we think about Harry Potter and Professor Trelawney, remember her? That's our schizotypal. I'll have a picture of her later. Played by Nanny McPhee, same gal, award-winning, great actress. She's got the real thick glasses. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is her glasses, you see? Well, there you go. A little more movie homework. There's our pink box, schizotypal, cluster A, weird. It sounds like it might belong in the schizo disorder family, the one we talked about yesterday. But this is, like we said, it's all pervasive for a long time. It's not those episodes that come and go. This is all the time, all pervasive in their life. Not later onset with drastic change. Now they come and go. This is all pervasive. There's a picture of it. Put thick glasses on that gal. There you go. There's Professor Trelawney right there. Emma Thompson. That's the actress. And here, if you're looking to see what's the difference between schizoid, what's the difference between Tesla and Professor Trelawney? Schizoid, Tesla, he's the emo teen at the mall. I don't care. Whatever. I got my own interests. And the schizotypal, you put your toast in your pockets and you win the lottery, right? Okay. There's your difference. Crazy uncle always knows the right lottery numbers, but still hasn't won it himself. Yeah, I got questions. All right, red. We're going into cluster B, dramatic. The red, color coded. This is antisocial personality, which is a grown-up version of what? Conduct disorder. Yes, conduct disorder. Exactly. This is a grown-up version of conduct disorder. You remember that scary kid that's doing illegal stuff, hurting things, torturing animals? This is what they grow up to be. AKA the psychopath, sociopath, that's what we call, colloquially or in our culture, that's that person. Proactive, predatory. Anybody know who the picture of that is? Kathy Bates, remember what movie that's from? Misery. Oh. Makes my ankles hurt just looking at that picture. Don't watch that movie, okay? Don't watch that movie. That's how scary Kathy Bates can be. Good. Looks for chances to hurt others. Incredible con men and women. Incredible con men. Usually very intelligent. Can be charming and endearing. And this is a little bit of both nature and nurture, right? Now, a lot of these patients with this disorder have a history of being abused. And they got found a way to get out of that, get around that, justify that, or perpetrate that, pass that on in that legacy, a bad legacy to pass on. Repeating what they see, maybe. Another incentive to intervene and change is be good at your craft, to recognize this early so you can change the course of a life, a family, and a whole community. Everybody heard, or anybody heard of Rodney Alcala? There's a movie out now about this, the dating game killer. Ever heard of that? Oh, that's a scary one too. Convicted of 7 murders, speculated to be over 100. But he was during that killing spree, he was a contestant, one of the bachelors on the dating game in 1978. The September 13th episode, so coming up on the news. Oh, scary. He learned law to represent himself in court, and if you look at that, there's some video of it, or people describing it, and he'll cross-examine himself, and changes his voice. It's spooky, kind of knowing where it comes from. His sentence was overturned 3 times. He represented himself doing that in the state of California, both the case and the death penalty, but he was convicted again 3 times and died before the death penalty was carried out. But scary stuff. That's a psychopath. That's antisocial personality disorder. So now we all have a little bit of hair standing up on the back of our neck. There's the big box distilled out. Deceitful, a fighter. Somebody's not just going to roll over. Intentional irresponsibility, no remorse at all. Rodney Alcala is still trying to justify that, hey, this isn't me. Didn't do this. It's okay. Way years and years after. Psychopath, sociopath, proactive, predatory, over 18, not a flash in the pan, pervasive all throughout. And then, like we said before, if you're going to diagnose this when they have evidence of conduct disorder before the age of 50, I think it said 12, before the age of 15, for this class it's as a kid, right? I'm not going to ask you at 15, but as a kid, do they have a history of this going way back? Is this pervasive and persistent in their life? Or is this just a flash in the pan? It's not a bad day. This is who they've been for a long time. There's the pink box. There's the picture, mnemonic. Red, cluster B, dramatic, is antisocial personality disorder. All right, next one, still in cluster B, dramatic, red. Oh, let's take 10. Take 10, sorry. 2 after, we'll come back to 2. Here we go. Picking back up, personality, pervasive, all areas of life, not just a bad day, not just come and go, pervasive all area, personality disorder. And here we are, cluster B, still dramatic, red, borderline personality disorder. These are the hot mess. This is the problematic, wayward, troubled child. Everybody know who these people are? Brandon Marshall, yep. Fantasy fiend back in his day, right? Wore the green cleats because he knew he had and was recognized of the mental disorders that he had. How about number 2, bleach blonde hair? You gotta love to hate him. Put him on the list, right? Put him on the list, yeah. Amy Winehouse and Lindsay Lohan, hot mess. Unstable, emotionally labile, meaning emotions are all up and down, all over the place. These are people on tabloid, on page, in the newspaper. Newspaper, it's like this thing that you fold up, get on your porch in the morning. Such a fear of abandonment, they'll go to great lengths, whatever it takes, frantically, to not be abandoned. So that's the key part about borderline personality. They don't want to be abandoned. And so a lot of times they'll use their sexuality as a tool to not be abandoned. Later we'll look at histrionic, and they use sexuality to be the center of attention, or borderline uses their sexuality to not be abandoned. So same attribute, same asset they have, but for a different purpose. So being able to distinguish that will help you, borderline or histrionic. Now we're talking about borderline, unstable, suicidal tendencies, self-mutilization, so they'll hurt themselves, so people will come to them and hang on to them and not abandon them. They want to be helped. That means people are with them and not abandon them. So there's a lot of attention getting to that suicidal tendencies or attempts at. Sometimes in our lineup here, and one house had that come to fruition set. So very impressionistic, that they will take the power of suggestion and run with it. They'll fake suicide, or they'll start fights with people just to have that, not being abandoned, or people will stay with them. Here's the pink box distilled about the red, cluster B, dramatic personality disorder of borderline personality. Looks similar to histrionic, but borderline personality uses sexuality to not be abandoned. Hopefully videos will help clarify that too. There's our pink box. There's our picture and mnemonic. Maybe help you a little more. Hot mess, problem, wayward, troubled child. And here it is, the one we were just talking about. Next, personality disorder, cluster B, red, dramatic, histrionic personality disorder. Drama queens, drama kings, these are the drama ones. Need to be the center of attention at all costs. Go to great lengths to be the center of attention. Sexuality used as a tool, like we just said, to get attention. And why does borderline personality use their sexuality to do? Not be abandoned. Exactly. Histrionic personality disorder uses their sexuality to do what? Be the center of attention. Not just get attention, be the center of attention. Be in the middle of it. Headlines, not just in the paper. Headlines. Reverts to childlike behavior when cornered or caught, throws tantrums, being a spoiled brat, to get that label too. These histrionics function in society a little easier than do the borderline personalities. Just tends to be, they fit in our culture a little easier. There's the pink box. Distilled, need to be the center of attention, need to be the center of attention. Rapidly shifting emotions, very flowery speech that doesn't say much. So they'll say a lot of superlatives, always talks in superlatives. See what I did there? Never, always, must, got it. Rarely has a healthy self-worth. Never has a self-awareness, right? See what I did there? Speaks in superlatives. So man, they were passionate. They said a lot of things, but I didn't really get a lot out of that. And if you distill it and write down their words and look at it, it's not really saying a lot. They're gullible as well, impressionistic like the others. Overestimates the depth of the relationship, so they'll think they're more serious in a relationship than they really are. And their spouse or partner or somebody they went on one date with says, "Oh, I didn't know we were a thing. I guess we are. We just got announced." What's your middle name? What's your last? There's our big box. There's the picture. Red, cluster B, dramatic, histrionic personality disorder. Drama queen. Next one, cluster B still, in that dramatic cluster B, red category, narcissistic personality. Who's that? Gaston, right? He loves me some me. Gaston. He's possessed by the me monster. Grandiosity, I'm special, I deserve, but you know who I am, right? You didn't hear me say my name? You don't know? That's why I'm here at the front line. Yeah, scoot over, I got it. But, very fragile, and usually very hollow inside. So a very tough exterior, but very fragile on the inside. Needs to feel better about everybody than everybody else. Not just happens to be, they need to feel better. They compare themselves to other people, and always they wait for your lips to stop moving, and then they say, see you and me. See the difference? Little shout out to Brian Regan there. Needs to feel better than everybody. Needs to be externally validated as superior. Needs to have that affirmation that they're the best. No regard for others' feelings or hardship, especially because of them. If they cause that hurt, doesn't care. As long as they're on top, as long as they're the best, as long as you acknowledge them as the best, then that's what they want. The bee monster. Blinded by the bee monster. There's a pink box distilled. Thinks highly of themselves and thinks of themselves a lot. Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin quarter mile. Uncle Rico, that's right. Uncle Rico's possessed by the big monster, isn't he? Narcissistic. How much you want to bet for the football in the mountains? Uncle Rico. I am the man. I am the woman. That's a narcissist. If you don't believe him, just ask him. They'll tell you. There's the pink box. Cluster B, dramatic, red, narcissistic personality. There's our picture. They love me so much. Beware the mean monster. There you go. There's a little more narcissism right there. Cheeto, that's the door lock. All right, next cluster, different cluster. Switching gears to our last cluster, cluster C, the worried, avoidant personality. If you don't try, then I don't have to deal with the disappointment of failure, right? Let's just avoid it all. I know it's going to go bad, so let's not even try. Kind of sounds like social anxiety disorder, but this affects everything, the core of their being, not just when they get in front of people, everything. I know before I try, it's not even going to work. So they want to be accepted, but they already know everybody already hates them. It's already a foregone conclusion in their mind. So they're not even going to try. They want to join the fun, but I already know, no, it's not going to work out. Here's the pink box. They need guarantees. Everything's going to be okay, but still, even so, it's probably not going to be okay. Nobody likes me. I'm awkward. They are so much better, prettier, stronger, more capable than me. Yeah. So sad. I like what I like. No need to try anything new. I'll probably be allergic to it and die. There's the pink box. Cluster C, purple, worried, avoidant personality disorder. Personality disorder, pervasive, all things, long time. There it is, picture. Cluster C, worried. I want to be loved, but it's not worth the embarrassment of when I'm going to fail. So I'm not a good one. All right, next one, dependent personality disorder. So cluster C, worried. Still in the cluster C, worried. Dependent personality, not just the fear of abandonment, but incapable of being independent. Cannot depend on themselves to make decisions and take care of themselves. Not just likes, but needs to work in a study group. Don't look around right now. Dependent crazy. They gotta work in it. Can't do it by themselves. Gotta work in a study group. Maybe the hyperbole of the man flu stereotype. You got a little sniffle and into the world. Wait on me hand and foot. Don't look at your spouse if they're in the room. Right? Complete lack of independence. Now my sister, she doesn't have dependent personality disorder, but there was a blip on the radar when one time she was filling out and I won't tell you which sister, when she was filling out an application for, I think, for a college or scholarship back in the day, and she was asking my mom, hey, do I like this? Or hey, is this pretty? Or did I do this? And she asked 20 questions at least. And then she said to mom, do I have trouble making decisions? And my mom couldn't answer. She was just laughing so hard. So somebody not just the fear of abandonment, incapable of being independent. My sister's doing great. She's got 5 girls. That one, doing great. Here's the pink box distilled. Could you tell me what I should do today? What am I supposed to do? What am I going to eat for breakfast? What should I eat for breakfast? Where can I go And this is if they're alone. Where can I go to be around people? Where can I go to be taken care of? That's what they're thinking. You're going to be there, aren't you? Right? You're going to be there, right? Right? Always looking for their next decision maker, somebody who can help them out and do that. If I'm ever on my own, I'm not going to make it. Not going to do it. There's the pink box, cluster C, purple, dependent. In that cluster C, worried category, dependent personality disorder. All right, next one. Still in the cluster C, worried. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Not just with a certain thing, not just with flipping the switch in your apartment, but all pervasive, all things, long period of time. Personality disorder. More holistic, more pervasive than OCD. Life encompassing, will sacrifice efficiency for perfection. So this is the Beaver personality on steroids. This is Beaver and only Beaver. Right? Obsessive compulsive personality. They have a definition of doing things the right way, put that in air quotes. Right? I have a little bit of this, and I got a lot of Beaver in me. And so when I got married, there was a right way to do things in the house, and yeah, that's just how it is. And my wife said, you know what, there may be some other things, other ways to do these things. So I've grown to say, you know what, there could be other ways, and it's okay if it's not done the right way. Not to judge people in that way. So that's a little bit about me. I'm still working on that. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder is there is a right way and there's inflexible to that. Habitually late because they were stuck fixing something. Being on time is less important than getting this just right. And they will sacrifice efficiency for perfection. Not just a micromanager, it's at the core and affects everything they do. Having somebody with this in charge, if you're on their team, you don't get to do anything because they do it all, because they want it done right. They keep it to themselves because they want to do it, and you don't make any of the deadlines, and then you don't get to be a part of that. Maybe frustrated on that day. Or relieved. I don't want to do anything. But they're the ones in the class project that if they got the right idea, you want to be on their team. But if they don't, you can't speak into it. They're a great micromanager, but not a great leader usually. This is the pink box distilled, control, perfectionist, workaholic for the sake of perfection, not for the success, not for the sake of success or notoriety. A workaholic to get it right. Oh, there they are. I was talking about you just now. There's my bride. Right there. Miss McCampbell. Hey, everybody. Miss Mackis, she's known something. And Michael believes in Santa Claus. Right there. There she is. And Leighton. Love her. Yes. But we haven't shared anything bad about you. Or anybody. But just so good. Thanks for joining us, y'all. So obsessive compulsive personality disorder, they just trust others until they get it right. I was telling them, Dana, that I had an issue of doing it the right way when we first got married, and I'm working into getting there. Right? There's more than one way to do it the right way. Thank you for this accountability today. There's the pink box. Here's the picture that will describe that. Hopefully that helps drive that home, get center mass on what personality disorders look like. Cluster C, purple color-coded, worried cluster, obsessive compulsive. More holistic and pervasive than just regular run-of-the-mill OCD. Life encompassing all the things. Sacrifices efficiency for perfection. All right, what do we do for them? All the personality disorder treatments are pretty similar. And so I put them all in one slide. We'll talk about them all at once. So how do we treat them? So we help personality disorder patients understand what it's about, what's behind, so they hopefully can have some objective perspective about their symptoms and help them live a more productive, normal, safe life, one that functions in society, but don't try to change them to become like you. Like we said, find those attributes that are beneficial and point those in the right direction so they can be productive and help with others. Somebody with obsessive compulsive personality disorder, you put them in the mailroom checking, making sure everything's right on these letters, you will not have any mistakes, right? Somebody is that far in that direction, and you kind of scratch that itch or allow them to stretch their muscles in that area, and so when they get home, they feel less of a need to exercise that, and so they can function with their family a little more so because they get to do that all day, every day. So they got to work in love, looking at hundreds, thousands of letters to make sure that everything's ordered and the dots are in the right place. Whereas you and I maybe look at that and go, oh, what? How many of these do I got to do? But they love it. And so they get home and they're relaxed. Everything's copacetic. Similar to schizo disorders, help them identify reality and not reality. So people who say, I gotta, or there's a right way, speaking into their life, saying there could be more than one way to do this, and that speaking to, let's help see things from others' perspective, and that's why being on a team with them, understand where people come from, being a good leader is where you can exercise, speak into, know their love language, and speak to them in a way that they can hear it. What truly matters, what's not as important, and so we say, you know what, we'll spend more time over here, and so if you're delegating jobs, and you say, you know what, will you help me over here doing this thing, you could be much better there. I got somebody else for that. They need something to do too. Right? So operant conditioning is one where you give rewards. So if you do something, you get a reward, and then the aversive conditioning is if you do something negatively, then you get a punishment. So you work with them, talk with them, and have them set up those for themselves. And so when they get buy-in to those things, it works better than you having an outside source being the police on them to say, this is a good way for checks and balances to help you recognize and function within those. Those are some things you can suggest: operant conditioning, rewards-based, and then aversive, that punishment. If I do too many of these, then that means I don't get to have my piece of chocolate today, or that kind of thing. All right, treatment. What do we do for them? Group therapy, good peer pressure, and it tends to have some more insight into saying somebody else who suffers or has this same condition that I do, they have some insight in a little different areas, and I can contribute to that conversation too. Maybe they've been in the know about what's going on in their life a little longer than me, and they can speak into mine. And I'm new to that and remind them of what the struggles were, and so they can help and feed off of each other. And then individual therapy, then talking to somebody and helping that treatment team that you get to set up, where they get to talk to somebody and say, here's some tools that might work for you or that do work for you. But a lot of people with this, and they can set up those conditions, gates, reminders in their life to say, okay, when this comes up, here's what I'm going to do. And remind them of the positive and the good things that can be used for them. So when we look at meds, consider the symptoms. And the bottom line is we're treating symptoms associated with, because there's really no med to treat that underlying personality disorder, how somebody's wired at the core of who they are. We're treating symptoms with the meds. And so in this list, you can look at how these different meds, and there's several of them listed there, the things that are associated that come with that a lot of times are typical in some of these personality disorders. You can draw the lines and dots to that and say, all right, if symptoms come with that, maybe I'll get a med to help with the symptom. But the treatment for the personality disorder is up top, the group and individual therapy. All right, that is the content, and we've done it all. I'm going to set this up and keep going if you've had enough. The rest of this is optional, but I'm going to go into our video practice of these things. So if you're good and you want to walk out, just be mindful of those who are here and want to listen and appreciate you. And if I don't see you between now and the exam, which is next Friday, respect. It's my last time teaching this psych class, and I really value your end-of-course surveys, and so does the program. So when we get to that test and fill that out, please do that. We love it. Thank you. Appreciate your attention. I don't want to. Alright, some of this will have a little tagline on the bottom, so don't cheat and say it out loud, but maybe you've got the answer in your head ahead of time.
Do you know who I am?
No, I can't say that I do.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Really?
People know me.
I'm very happy for you.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Alright, what cluster are we talking here? Cluster B, dramatic. I got another video for you. Represent the same thing.
People say I am the best boss. They go, God, we've never worked in a place like this before. You're hilarious. And you get the best out of us. Well, I think that pretty much sums it up. I found it at Spencer Gibbs.
Bought it for himself. Alright, which cluster you say? B, red, dramatic, yep. Michael Scott, played by Steve Carell. Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, Will Ferrell. So which personality disorder would you say? Narcissistic, nailed it, good job. Alright, next one.
Are we gonna get this slide?
Yeah, we'll get this side next, yep, I'll give you all these. And with the questions that we missed, with the review between, I'll give these to you. Hope to get that out to you later today.
So, this is the great countdown. Mr. Ellie has refused about your acting on any number of occasions. Hold out other hand.
Was conducting the electricity.
Our bodies, Mr. Angie, are quite capable of conducting and indeed producing energy. Have you eaten, Mr.
Who are we talking about there? Who's that?
Tesla.
Nikola Tesla. Do you know, for extra points, you know who plays him, who the actor is, and it also fits in this category? David Bowie, yeah, also fits in this. Anybody else in the upper left? E equals MC squared. The German, Albert Einstein, yeah. Upper right? Darwin, yep, credited with the theory of evolution. Lower right? It took you a little bit to say, Josh Brolin, yep, playing Thanos. Which category, which cluster is this, would you say? A, weird, yep, what would you say? Which one is this? Schizoid, I think Tesla, I gave it to you, but that's good, good job. Get a picture, kind of help this help? I mean, it's fun for me. Welcome along for the rides.
But Leo's vacation is about to become Bob's therapy.
I really appreciate this.
I do not see patients on vacation, ever.
We just got to figure out a way to work around your schedule. 2 to 4, 3 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I don't want any of you letting Bob into this house.
He's a sweet guy. Can we invite Bob over for dinner? Would you like some more chicken, Bob?
Say, this is so scrumptious.
Will you stop that, please?
But Leo's vacation is about to become Bob's therapy.
All right, who's Bill Murray? Bob, what's What's I know this may hurt some feelings. Who's on the left there? Cinderella. Yep, and on the right? Mr. Booth, you see there? Give me your cheat notes down at the bottom, yeah. Bob Welding, there you go. You got it, C word. Say, said very helpful is it if I do it over there. Here we go. Nice. All right, next one.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Well, Mr. Monk, it looks like everything is in order.
Thank you. I did not.
Reorders the level of blood in the tubes. That's next level stuff there. Yeah. Who is that? Middle clip monk. Yeah, on the left. Y'all watch that clip, the video of him? That's kind of sad, isn't it, to see how restrained. How about on the right? Steve Jobs, yeah, I thought to have the same. Which cluster are we in? C, worry, yep. And the diagnosis? OCD, personality disorder, yep. Way farther than OCD. All pervasive, all areas of life, yep, good job.
This isn't going nowhere. Tiffany and Tommy? Just Tiffany. What happened to Tommy?
He died.
How he died?
Please, don't bring it up.
Hey, Tiffany. This is Pat. You look nice.
Thank you.
How Tommy died?
No, hold on.
What meds are you on?
I used to be on lithium and
I was
Seroquel.
on Xanax.
You ever take Klonopin?
Klonopin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that what?
I'm tired. I want to go. Are you going to want me home or what?
You have poor social skills. You have a problem.
I have a problem? You say more inappropriate things than appropriate things.
Doc, she's crazy. Oh, what the hell? She knew where I was. She followed me. Then why don't you run somewhere else?
Calm down, crazy.
Maybe she just needs a friend. You want to have dinner at this diner?
Pick me up at 7:30.
So how's your job?
I just got fired, actually.
Oh, really? How?
I'm having sex with everybody in the office.
Everybody?
I was very depressed after Tommy died.
We don't have to talk about it.
Thanks.
How many were there? Four.
I hope you're okay with Ron. This isn't going nowhere.
Tiffany and Tommy?
Just Tiffany.
What happened to Tom?
On the left, some people don't think it should be in the series, right? With Anakin Skywalker, played by Hayden Christensen. We like him though. We like Hayden. And in the middle, Tiffany from Silver Linings Playbook. And on the right, Norma Jean Mortensen. Yeah. What cluster are we in here? B, dramatic. Yeah. What do you think? Sexuality was used for what reason? What are our two reasons? Abandonment and center of attention. Which one was Tiffany using her sexuality for? Abandonment. So what does that mean? Borderline. Yeah, nice. Good job. There it is. You guys are nailing this. Russian.
breath. Make a wish. Count to 3.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation.
All right, Gene Wilder, who's that? Who's his character? Willy Wonka. How about on the left? Yoda, what cluster are we in? A. What color is A? Green, literally, on the left, Yoda. See, I helped you out. All right, who's on the right? Emma Thompson, there's Professor Trelawney, we talked about earlier. There she is. All right, what diagnosis, which one? One of the schizos ones is this. Which one? Is it schizoid or schizotypal? Schizotypal, good job. Strange, mystical thought process. Good job.
Say, Charlie Brown, I've got a football. How about practicing a few place kicks? I'll hold the ball, and you come running and kick it. Oh, brother. I don't mind your dishonesty half as much as I mind your opinion of me. You must think I'm stupid. Oh, come on, Charlie Brown. No. I'll hold it steady. No. Please. You just want me to come running up to kick that ball so you can pull it away and see me land flat on my back and kill myself. This time you can trust me. See? Here's a signed document, testifying that I promise not to pull it away. It is signed. It's a signed document. I guess if you have a signed document in your possession, you can't go wrong. This year I'm really going to kick that football. Peculiar thing about this document, it was never notarized.
Hi, we're talking about Chuck, Charlie Brown. What cluster are we in? C, worry, purple, yeah. What diagnosis? Might as well not even try. I know people are not going to fail. Avoidant personality. See, I told you. It's going to happen. We all know how the story ends, right? Yep, that's Chuck. That's Charlie Brown. Y'all are doing great. And thank you for humoring me as well.
She's a queen bee, a star. Those other two are just our little workers.
Regina George.
Is he bothering you? Jason, why are you such a skis? So it's settled. So you can go shave your back now. Sit down. Why don't I know you? I mean, what? So you agree? What? You think you're really pretty? Whatever. I'm getting cheese fries.
Daddy and Rosie were going shopping.
We don't. I never have. I've never seen anybody so glamorous.
I know, right? Please stop talking.
She's a queen bee.
Regina George. There's sexuality involved there. And so we know that there's two that deal with that primarily. Two reasons sexuality is used in personality disorders. One we already saw is fear of abandonment. What's the other one? Center of attention. Regina George, center of attention. Who's on the left? Charlie Sheen, center of attention. How about on the right? Amber Heard. Center of attention. Which personality disorder cluster are we? Dramatic. Drama queens and kings. What color is that? Red. Yep. And which personality disorder? Histrionic. Good job. Good job. Next.
Jerry Fletcher has theories. The whole Vietnam War was fought over a bet. Howard Hughes lost to Aristotle and acid. Some would call his theories crazy.
You're telling me that NASA is going to kill the President of the United States with an earthquake?
It's not exactly the kind of thing a Secret Service agent would just throw himself on top of. He writes them in his newsletter. This is our third issue this year. Conspiracy theory. He sends them out. Wow! You guys are kind of naked back here. Can we get out of here?
Please don't tell me you're naked right there.
It's just a bigger speech. Can we go? And she is the only one he trusts. I've loved you since the first time I ever saw you.
Jerry, you don't love me.
Now, one of his theories is true.
Can you prove any of this?
Absolutely not. Only he doesn't know which one. Must have hit a nerve with one of those articles in there. But his enemies, Jerry Fletcher, has theories.
What cluster are we in? A, yep. Good. Because sometimes people that are paranoid about can be pretty weird, right? Killing the president with an earthquake? Plausible, right? Who's on the left? Anybody? Played by Leonardo DiCaprio? Howard Hughes? Yeah. Incredibly gifted guy, American aerospace engineer, business magnate, film producer, investor. But if you'll watch the movie, a lot of that's true. Recluse, paranoid about a lot of things, the end of his life. Jerry Fletcher, Mel Gibson, 1997 movie. And on the right, anybody? Roger Keith Barrett, better known as Sid Barrett, guitarist and founder of which band? Pink Floyd. Boy, y'all. Huge paranoia in his life. I think I gave it away. Cluster A, weird paranoid disorder. All right, one more to go.
With respect, Master Wayne, perhaps this is a man you don't fully understand either. A long time ago, I was in Burma. My friends and I were working for the local government. They were trying to buy the loyalty of tribal leaders by bribing them with precious stones. But their caravans were being raided in a forest north of Rangoon by a bandit. So we went looking for the stones. But in 6 months, we never met anyone who traded with him. One day, I saw a child playing with a ruby the size of a tangerine. The bandit had been throwing them away. So why steal them? Well, because he thought it was good sport. Because some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Which cluster are we in? The Joker. Sorry, we're talking about the Joker. Yeah, sorry, that was confused. I didn't tell you the subject. The Joker. How about the Joker? C or more? B. Dramatic. Yeah. What's this a grown-up version of? You know what it is. Yeah, just knowing what cluster it's in. What's this called? Who's a psychopath, sociopath? Antisocial personality disorder? Yep. What's this a grown-up version of? Conduct disorder. Yep. Who's the person on the left? The dating game killer. That's Rodney Alcala. How about on the right? Guy on the right is a U.S. Army veteran. 2 years. Station Baumholder, Germany, as the 91 Bravo, or today we know as 68 Whiskey, trained right here at Fort Sam. Honorably discharged for substance abuse, alcohol. So I say that to say this could be, and I'm telling you, see personality disorder. He was seen by military providers. Arrested in 91, killed in 94 by a fellow inmate before he had a chance to receive death penalty. But bring that a little, not to scare you, but to say you will see personality disorder. You walk on the same ground here at Fort Sam that Jeffrey Dahmer did, and you get an opportunity to intervene and save lives and to change lives. So speak hope, see the positive, and recognize it early. It's incentive to do it. Which personality disorder? You said it. That's antisocial personality. This is going to be you. Y'all are going to be great PAs. Lucy Van Pelt. Let me check and see right here. I am clear to push if we want to go right now, if y'all want to stick around. Are we recording this as well?
I was.
Okay.
But I was going to dip.
You got a what?
I was going to dip.
Okay. Are you coming back at 13? Okay. Well, I can push now if we want to review, and those who want to stay can, and then we'll keep going. And, yeah, you take 5. Yeah, take